One of the most important things for the Keshe Foundation members is as such that do not dismiss anything. Do not dismiss a single call. Do not dismiss a sweat. I would like you in the background, the Keshe Foundation team, to record this part from now on, because this is important to all of you, and your lives and your family can depend on it. First thing, you have to know, as I explained in the other teaching, and I explain again in detail how this virus works. And a fundamental point to understand is this virus mutates. This is one thing the Gates Foundation did not calculate. They wanted to change the code that it reduces the population. But one thing they did not consider was the mutation of this virus. How it mutates, we come and explain later on. But what we've seen in the Chinese structure and the Iranian structure is that you get rid of or you solve the problem with the virus. If one is left, it mutates to a new one. If one is left, it mutates to a new one. And every time it mutates, it becomes stronger. The reason it mutates is because now we understand the Keshe Foundation, to our knowledge, that viruses are packs of energy which they encircle magnetically by their field, the cell in the body. What is the strange for other people? They do not understand how this virus is transmuting, for example, from Iran to Italy. Go back to the knowledge. As you know, magnetic fields travel. And if you have the same strength, being from another part of the universe will reach Earth. That's why we see the depth of the stars in the deep sides of the universe. As you saw the map, as I explained, what is clearly indication of why it jumped from Iran to Italy, the Iranian and the Italians have deep rooted in blood for centuries. And it was obvious. The next step from Iran was Italy. And as it jumped to jump further, he has mutated to stronger. These people infected environment in country, but they never counted on plasma technology of the virus. Now we see this rapidly mutating into North America, as many Americans are Italian descent. But the problem is, Italians have taken one corner of United States, and the Iranian the other side in Los Angeles. And the disaster covers the whole of this nation. This is what we see clearly, and that's why it's rapidly growing in Italy. Why in Iraq? The other point is that what we saw, the change from China to Iran, was very clear. I was expecting this, and when it happened, I understood was to see that it spreads very rapidly. Why? For centuries, Silk Road has mixed blood. Now you can see. This genetic modification by the gene itself will encircle the planet. We are in dark ages of man destroying himself to the greed of Mr. Gate. When you buy a patent to destroy, it destroys you. Now you understand how it will go. So what is important for you to realize that you cannot stop just because you have gone. What has happened? The virus has made a link into the cell through any of its combination of amino acid. What is strange and what you have not understood and the world of medicine doesn't understand, this gene has emotion. This gene, when they set it up, they never understood the world of the physics. It has created its own soul. If you look at the crown, what we call virus, is like this, and then it has a second circle. The existence of the two leads to creation of magnetic fields, which gives it the life to mutate. This is why it's called the crown virus. And that's why they call it corona, because it sits like a crown over the cell. Exactly what we explained it does for past 10 years, how the virus works and how the virus is. The shape of the crown or coronavirus is the shape of embedded, encircled two magnetic field, one of the plasma of the amino acid or the cell, and one of the energy of the virus. It has created its own life, and this will take shape further and further, and imitates. Man went from Africa to Asia and India and China, and imitated by shades and colors according to be able to survive. This virus will be with us for a long time to come. It envelops, it encircles the whole cell. The logic behind this by the Gates Foundation was to reduce the population. My message to Gates Foundation is very simple. We are 7 billion happily living on this planet. We've got our own faults as a big family. If the place is too small for you, you don't need to eliminate 7 billion. Eliminate 7 members of your family, then you don't need to suffer with us. What we see and what we have requested the Chinese government, and very soon will release data. We are aware and we know, as I said before, mercury, aluminum, and lead are playing something in this virus injection. As we saw with children immunization, we could be heading for another disaster with so much poison in the body injected. This is time to tell, time to see. So in this process, you can see how the virus is changing and mutating. It's a energy which has found the energy of the cell, and with it has created his own soul, which means he has a brain. It will dictate where he wants to go. And he has so many diversions, his energy pack, which will go down the race channel to every nation. Now that you understand how this energy is transferring, it's very simple. The cell as an energy pack needs an amino acid, a protein, your skin on the table, your spit on the chair, your sweat somewhere else. And as these are weak now, the virus makes a connection to feed them because, in essence, they came from the same amino acid structure field. This virus is transferring itself to the leftover residual of the body of the man. That's why when you touch the button of the lift, when you touch a node which somebody else has touched, it has carried into the weaker structure, and now it encircles it. You invite it by touching it. It connects first to your cell, and then it shows itself. What is interesting, if you go back to the few teachings before, I spoke about the emotion of the animals, and that's why it came from the seas. In this position, now you understand. This virus has emotion. What is interesting, very simply, has a deep emotion. It means it copies the emotion of the man who gets it. This is why some people walk away with it initially as good, and then they catch it for a second time and they die. The sign of emotion of control of this cell became very apparent. The brain of the man, the skin of the man, and the cell of the lungs of the man are main part of, operators of the emotion of the man. As the skin, the brain, and the lung are all of the same cell. So what happens? Very strange. When you have asthma, you have an emotional problem, you see what happens with your breathing. When you cannot speak, you cough. When you get stressed, you cough. So this shows the true nature of this virus. And once enters your emotional circle, your emotional system, which your lung represents you. That's why you get asthma attacks and you spray yourself to kill it, but you don't sort out the emotion. This time is a very powerful asthma. And what we see from all the reports in Iran and China, a very clear pattern of asthma attack and then with a heart failure. But they call it the infection of the lung. It is in a way an asbestos, a very strong, powerful, but live and decision maker. Let me explain to you how you die. This is from the report from Chinese health authorities and directly from the hospitals in Iran, from the doctors. That's your body. This is your lungs. I make it very big. And this is your heart. The virus enters through two channels. Breathe into your nose or breathe into your mouth. Go back to the teaching. This is the soul of the man. In so many ways, if you understand the depth of knowledge the way we do, as I told you, the virus is a living thing and he has a soul. He has created itself an emotion. In passing in your, what we call breathing channels, it transfers his emotion to the soul. And then soul understands and tells it where to go. Because soul cannot show the pain of the or feeling of the virus. So they create is your arm, your leg, somebody's microphone is open. Then it tells it where is needed, how it can show its sorrow and pain to the body itself. Now you understand how you absorb it. How brain and the soul have decided this is where we create condition for it to find a place. In this process, as it takes position, your lungs, according to the scientific data, gets flooded as it tries to create food for itself. Changes the condition of the lung, and then it lives. What we know, as I explained to the doctors before, is that we know each lung works 1 hour on, 1 hour off. Even though they work, operational exchange of the energy for the blood is done on these sequences. Depending on when the virus enters the lung which is active, or maybe the lung which is inactive, at rest, not really ready to defend itself, allows the virus to set in. So it grows. And by the next breathings and the change of time, the second lung starts the transition of the virus. So what you have, a more advanced working against the weaker one. The two lungs start exchanging energy to build up, to support each other. And we see lungs getting flooded and change of condition. And it's strange, from the Iranian doctors who have been witness to many deaths, they report these people are extremely healthy, they're young, they're athletes. There's a guy who came, he's a mountaineer, and out of nowhere, they see cardiac arrest. And in the last 5 hours, they die from cardiac arrest. All the patients with this virus die of cardiac arrest. Now we understand how, as I explained in other teaching, in this process of exchange of the energy between the two lungs, as they get everything, now they lock in into the energy of the heart. And the heart brings energy from the rest of the body and they consume it. And the heart cannot cope with serving the body and the virus. And it goes to overrun and heart attack and death. Now we understand the process. We are dealing with the energy transfer emotionally and with a capability to mutate. With the traditional medicine, we know not. with a new Keshe Foundation and plasma technology we know how. In the Cup of Life, which I gave you, I specifically, when I did accommodate this, I gave you a copper, nano copper, and a zinc. Some of the copper are at the element of the zinc. So you produce hidden amount of ZNO. The copper creates you UO. And the copper and the zinc gives you CO2. Now you understand why this water works and why we insist on 50% if you don't have the cup CO, 30% CO2, and 20% ZN. As I said, if you understand the teaching of the Keshe Foundation over years, ZN is the elevator of the soul. So in taking, reading, and covering, you keep on strengthening the soul. For it to strengthen the soul of the virus, to give it satisfaction of life. And this is how most of this process of reversal comes. CO is to take the energy from the virus. CO2 is to create the connection. Now you understand why we said this process. Now, I want to explain to you how you can check first if you have the virus. If you do not have ganses, you test what is known as a 10-second breathing trial. Every morning or in the day, you hold your two nostrils, you close it with your two fingers, and you hold your breath for 10 seconds. If you do not cough or you do not run out of breath, 90% you're okay. But if within this 10 seconds you're forced to cough, or you see irritation of your throat to cough, or you see you cannot hold, your 90% chance of have received a kind of infection by the virus, depending on which stage you are. Then you will see sometimes around 10 to 25 days from the first day when you test and you notice this, you will show fever, you will show the rest of the virus infection. The reason is that this virus takes its own route straight away in the lung. So the lung is already carrying the virus, but you don't see it. This is what we call matter state testing. With the plasma testing, the process is different. If you have made yourself the ganses of Zn, CO, and CO2, you do two things. If you spray the GANS water of this combination, what we call the cup of life, on your head and on your chest and your back, once a day, twice a day if you're worried, and you feel pain or headache or pressure, you're 100% infected. Do not go for psychosomatic and placebo because you done it, you have a headache. But try to understand if there is a pressure, is a magnetic field pressure. Is the pressure you feel energy is transferring inside you? This is what we are looking for, not the headache that I take aspirin. If you feel on the head, it means the energy transfer from the GANS to the what we call the soul is taking place at a high level, and that energy transfer creates heat, or what we call magnetic pressure. If it wasn't there, it cannot make it. The same is between your lung and the gans water you put outside. And we told this before. You feel a pressure. People say there is a pressure, they cannot breathe. Even in China, we have seen people who report pain when they use the gas. You can use the uncertain way, or 90%, or you can check 100%. This is the procedure that will be used in the hospitals by the doctors when they start using the gas technology for identification of people have the virus or they don't. First physical, then through the gas. And if both are positive, you got it. You got to understand, if you can make for yourself 3 or 4 different cups of life, even though they're all from the same material, whatever, they create a slightly different strength of gas. And you need this to cover yourself for a long term, to cover from any mutation of the virus. Same time, when you think you have it, immediately, your immediate family, people who you've been with and where you've been, you go back, you inform, you give a copy, you give a paper, you say, this is what you got to do. I think I have an infection, you better cover yourself. If you go and you're not aware and you have overlooked or whatever, we start the next process. This is your head. This is your body. This is your arms. You have to follow this procedure without failure. As you understood, this disease affects the soul and the lung. And in that process, the soul of physicality, which is the heart of the man, is in between. So when you understand, the minute you are infected, the chain has been built. The separation of the physicality from the soul starts, because they're aware of what is to come. You need to support both. The process has to be in this way. The first thing you do, you spray your chest. You wet your chest with a gas water from Cup of Life every hour. This is on a condition that you are infected. For prevention, we come to later. Every hour, once you tested, you had a headache and you felt the tightness of the chest, and you did the test, you're coughing, this is your next step within 5 minutes. You put gas water on either side of your lung. What this does, it transfers the energy of the virus into the gans of what you put in, and this will dissipate into the atmosphere or to your clothing. So you're depleting the virus energy. This is all you can do. Don't forget, the heart is in center of the two. If you look at it in reality with a brain, you have made your star formation. And in a way, gives a chance for the soul to take its flight. Then what you do after you covered the body, immediately you cover your face with a spray or wet of the gas. Then you spray, please do not try to wash, try to spray gas water around your head. Again, by the same principle, you transfer energy out. And at the same time, you transfer energy in, satisfying the soul. The face is to take the energy from if the cells affected or landed on your face. The head is to elevate the soul because of the zinc. The third step is to take immediately water, Gans water, to wash any possibility of any material of contaminated to be present, and at the same time feeding the soul. Every 15 minutes to 1 hour, you take one sip, what about 50 ml of Gans water. Now, the next step for you is to put the Gans water in what we call hubble bubble, in shisha, whatever you call, make a Coca-Cola bottle with 2 holes in it, and put a stick in it, a pipe, a straw to the bottom and a straw in the up, and fill it up with the Gans water, and you inhale. You inhale at least 10 minutes in every hour. And what you do by inhaling, you take the energy inside, and by having the other energy, which is weaker outside on the skin, you deplete the energy of the virus. You will lose your temperature within the first hour if you have a high temperature. The temperature should come down within 1 hour to 3 hours maximum. The fever goes. Do not get fooled. If you had a coughing, depending on how bad the lung is damaged, will repair itself in over days. You might lose most of the irritation very rapidly too. The sweating will go. Once you've gone through this process, you carry on for 2 to 3 months. The strangest thing is, you will stop somewhere. This is when the soul is satisfied and informs the arm, do not give me any more water. We see this with all the technologies. When I used to help people, I always tell them when I gave them the system, they said, when do I stop? I said, look, come back soon. The day you say, oh, I forgot to drink, is the day that you have reached the steps of completion. You bring the system back. Because when you're not hungry, you don't eat. When the body doesn't need it, you'll find out you forget doing it because there's no need for it. This is for recovery. Spray your body long and back every hour if you have seen the positive sign of the breathing and the guts. Then spray the face first every hour. Then spray the head. every hour. You do this for 3 days, and after that, you step down to prevention. That is, you keep yourself safe 2-3 times a day. Then you drink water every hour. Then you inhale every hour for 10 minutes directly with the water, gans. Please do not drink from the gans itself. And if you follow this process, you stand a good chance of surviving the situation. Those of you who do not see the 90-second problem, the 10-second problem, and the 90% with the ganses, you feel it's okay, I'm not, your life doesn't stop that way. For prevention, you spray your body every morning and evening, just when you get up and just before you go to bed. You spray your face every morning and every evening. You spray your head the same. During the day, you need to drink at least 300 ml to 500 ml of gas water in the stages. And you need to inhale at least once or twice a day, 10 to 15 minutes. This is recipe for preventing for you. But you have to do this with all the members of your family and the cat, the dog, and the door handle you spray, the house you spray, everywhere in the house you spray as you have. When you make your ganses, the first ganses, when there is a salt on it, you don't throw the water away. You can use that water to spray in the house, to spray the handles, because that residue of salt will keep some of the gas holding energy, and it can disinfect or gets the energy of the virus. The sheets, the pillows, the bus you get on, don't be afraid. I spray, they say it's a lunatic. It's my life. You wear a mask, always spray the mask before you take it off and wait for 3 minutes. Then take it off. Because the gas will go inside and change the position of the what we call any contamination. One of the worst things people keep on telling you is that when you put a mask on your face, don't touch it, because if the bacteria has come, has sit on it. But the biggest problem is the other way. You have breath into the mask. And if you have the infection, the mask is infecting the others. When you get the mask, make sure you drop it in a gas water of CuO or the cup of life. Make one box and put water in it, gas water, and drop these masks in it, because you have to deplete the energy of it. If you put in a plastic bag, as I explained, your plastic bags they advise you to do comes from the lack of understanding of the totality, because you remember and you see the connection. Plastic is become a breeding ground for holding to the virus. Never ever use a plastic bag to put your gas in. Paper bag is okay because it's still live, but you can control it and you can soak it and it goes. On the other hand, remember to wash, to disinfect your hand with the gas water. You get on a plane, spray the plane. You get on a bus, spray the bus, because not only you disinfect yourself, you disinfect others. And be very, very calm, because there's one thing, using the technology, you have most probably protected yourself well enough. As I said, Keshe Foundation, as we see knowledge seekers, have no fatality up to today. We get infected, but because we continuously use the material, we protect ourselves. As I said to a knowledge seeker, a bottle of gas water in the fridge is like a bottle of drinking water in the fridge. You need it. Now, it comes to your environment. In the environmental energy pack, you are got to be very careful. Wherever you touch, your fingerprint is the carrier. Carries the amino acid, and with it, the infection. Wherever you breathe is the carrier. Wherever you sit, you sleep, you touch, you kiss. Anything which has the amino acid combination, which is this, is one. We are looking, we're not raising an alarm, we are looking to see that the combination from iron will ever change to magnesium, that we start seeing infection among plants. Amino acid is the same, it's only the difference between the iron and what we call magnesium. We have had 2 reports up to now of skin being agitated when they spray the gas on. Doesn't show any rashes at the moment, but it's irritation. We are watching closely. If you see when you spray the gas on your skin and you get irritation, we are of school of thoughts that, as I said, the brain, the skin, and the lung are all the same. There is a possibility, we only seen 2 cases up to now worldwide of the reports we have, that the virus, through its mutation, is moving from the lung to the skin. And if this happens, we do not know, but assuming we are right, you will see literally flesh disappearing and getting infected. We have not seen this stage yet. Mutation to the strength of the skin of the man in the level of emotion has not been seen, but we received 2 reports, and I informed the Iranian team to watch for this. I'm getting it. Thank you very much. It's hot. Yep. So this is a total understanding. You need to understand the totality of this. You have to understand the emotion of it, and this is crucial for the knowledge seekers. There is a discussion if we can use dynamic system for this virus. Possibly yes, possibly no, possibly the dynamic systems become another trap. We can extend the virus in, but we can, from the dynamic system to the body, to spread it. Can we use what we call the new systems globally made? Yes, can be done.